Austin Lee Edwards has been accused of catfishing a young girl, killing her mother and grandparents, and then kidnapping her. Edwards died in a shootout with the police. Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. It's a Monday morning.
It is. It's a
That's
snowy
for
Monday
sure.
morning.
Oh man, isn't it though?
We're
Wow.
getting like Christmas snow, the big awesome flakes.
Yeah, we are. Sorry. Really unhappy with my camera angle. There we go.
Oh, I
That's better.
see.
Yeah, we are. In fact, our daughter that goes to school in Montana, she and some of her teammates left yesterday morning. But some of the teammates didn't leave until later yesterday afternoon, and the roads were closed. They can't even go back to school for a few days now. They're
Yeah,
saying
I saw that some
it's
of those roads
bad.
got closed.
hmm
Yikes.
Really bad up in there. Yeah, so up near Yellowstone, it's really
hmm
bad.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's something.
it definitely is, but it's beautiful. My backyard is
hmm
absolutely gorgeous, so I
Mine
can't beat
too.
that. We had a
Mine
nice
too.
holiday last week. We missed
We
you all.
did.
Not here as much, but we did have a good time.
Yes, we did. We did.
Mhm.
We're obsessed with this game now. Tell me what it's called.
Ransom notes.
Ransom notes. And it's kind of like apples to apples or Cards Against Humanity, but you have these little metal cards, and then you take a pinch of all these little magnetic words, and then there's a prompt, and then you have to put the words together into something that makes sense. And then whoever
Mhm.
draws the card then looks at the all of the different cues that people or stuff that people came up with, and they pick their favorite. And oh my gosh, that's fun. It is
It is
hilarious.
so fun, and I love it because it really makes you think. It's not just,
Mhm.
"Oh, throw out the dirtiest or funniest card." You literally have to, and you have a
Uh-huh.
very limited number of words, and you
Mhm.
gotta come up with the best way to respond to that prompt with whatever strange combination of words you might have.
Mhm. It's hilarious. The
It
one that
is.
has just continued to make me cackle was one that our nephew had put. The prompt was explain childbirth.
Oh, yes.
And the ransom note that he wrote said genital chaos.
And it won because it should.
Mhm. Indeed, Jack. Indeed. Yeah.
That was so good.
Anyway, so if you're looking for a fun holiday game, I highly recommend.
Yes, that is the one. It is great.
Mhm.
Well, this is our Monday episode, and I
Mhm.
think, Katie, you're gonna kick it off with some WTF news.
Oh, yes, I am. When Tommy Garay started dating Senaida Soto about a month ago, I think that things must have seemed more normal. Unfortunately, last week she called him on FaceTime, and a woman she didn't know answered the FaceTime.
Uh-oh.
And that's where the trouble started
Mhm.
because Senaida was not having it. In fact, she assumed that that meant that he was cheating on her and humiliating her. And so she sent him another FaceTime that looked something like this. That's right. That's
Uh,
his couch on fire.
it is. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh dear.
With a note that said, I sure hope your stuff is okay.
Whoa.
Well, his stuff was
Whoa.
not okay. The house burned to the ground. It's an intergenerational home that was owned by, I believe, his grandparents, then his dad, and now he is a single dad that lives there with his little daughter and has lost everything he owns. Here's the kicker: the woman that answered the FaceTime,
Yeah.
yeah, she's a relative.
Oh my God.
No
Whoa.
affair, no one was cheating on this month old relationship. She was a family member that was hanging out with him and his daughter, and just happened to answer his phone because he couldn't get to it. And what happened? This absolute psycho goes crazy and burns his house down.
Holy hell.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about jumping to conclusions,
Mm-hmm.
making assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
Wow.
not good.
No.
Not good at all. As you can imagine, she's in jail
I would
for
hope.
burglary and arson.
Mm,
And I would imagine she stays there because that's pretty bad.
that's really scary. To
Hmm.
be that reactive. Yikes.
Honestly, I think he and his little one are probably lucky they got out of this with their lives and
Probably.
can rebuild now because clearly this girl is super duper unstable. Yikes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's what's up in Texas.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say there's a whole lot of crazy going on right now, as isn't there always?
Yeah. On that note, I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for our main case.
Boy. So this stable genius is
Mhm.
Austin Lee Edwards. Austin Lee Edwards was 28, and he was a former Virginia State police officer. So last week, um, police responded to a welfare check about 11 o'clock in the morning. This is in Riverside, California. Someone had called and said, this was on Friday, that they saw a young woman who turned out to be a teenage girl, a minor, appeared to be in distress while a man was getting her into a red Kia Soul. So police come to see what's going on. Not long after the welfare check is called in, firefighters are called because there's a house on fire in the same neighborhood.
Oh my God.
In the house, firefighters find 3 bodies. Bodies are 69-year-old Mark Wynick, his wife, 65-year-old Sherry Wynick, and their daughter, 38-year-old Brooke Wynick. It became apparent to them on the scene that they were actually victims of a homicide, and then the house had been set on fire.
Wow.
So, in trying to figure out what the hell is going on here, police discover that Brooke Wynick has a teenage daughter who also lives there but was missing.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So they did identify fairly quickly the man that she was seen with getting into the red Kia Soul as Austin Lee Edwards, who hails from Chesterfield, Virginia.
Wow. So he came clear from Chesterfield to Riverside?
He did, yes.
Ooh.
And in looking through social media, police discover that Edwards had been catfishing this young teenage girl. And they believe he traveled across country. He parked in a neighbor's driveway and went to this girl's house. It is alleged that he killed the grandparents and mother and set the house on fire and then took the daughter.
Oh my God.
Fortunately, she was only gone for about 2 hours. This all happened very quickly. Um, Police found him in San Bernardino County. The sheriff's department there found him driving in an unincorporated area called Kelso. This is about around 1:15 on Friday, so she's really only been missing 2 hours. Thank God. So as you expect former police officers to behave, not.
Mm-hmm.
He led them on a chase
My God.
while he's open firing on the police, and this young girl is in the car with him. At one point, he loses control and drives off the road, crashes the car. He gets out of the car, pointing the gun at police, and the deputies open fire on him and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So the young girl is unharmed physically. I
Yeah.
won't say mentally.
No.
And she was placed in the custody of social services so they can figure out what family she has left and where she should where she
Yeah.
could go. Cause of death on the Winex has not been released, but they believe that they were dead before the fire was set. The fire, of course, was a forensic countermeasure, I guess, as you would know a police officer to do. I don't know. This is horrifying and terrifying.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot about Edwards yet. There will be more come out.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot more to come. One of the initial
Mhm.
reports I read was that police didn't believe this was a kidnapping per se.
Oh,
Bitch, he's 28 and she's a teenager. Yes, it is.
yeah.
I'm not gonna. We're not going there. Yes, it is.
No, yeah, she's a minor. He was an adult. He just murdered her family,
Yeah,
likely in front of her,
yeah. Let's not
and
pretend
then
like this
drug her
was
away
anything
in a
other than
car.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, like give me a break.
Yep.
So apparently, he had been employed as a Virginia State police trooper. Um, he completed police academy in January of 2022, so he'd only been an officer not quite a year. He was changing jobs from the Virginia State Police to the Washington County Virginia Sheriffs. Um, we don't really know anything more about him historically, if he had problems as an officer, reprimands, or anything like that. I'm sure a lot of that will come out,
Hmm.
but it isn't quite set. It hasn't been quite yet. But
Yeah.
Washington County, Virginia did hire him on November 16th,
Huh.
and he had just started orientation. So
Wow.
terrifyingly, this guy made it through post,
Hmm.
was hired by the state police, and then was hired by county sheriffs,
My God.
and also had this propensity. I find that really scary because, as we know, a lot of our police officers do not get anywhere near enough vetting.
Hmm.
This man definitely did not get enough vetting, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying it's their fault or they could have known, but I mean, aren't they supposed to be hiring people that are going to protect and serve?
Aren't these the police?
Yeah,
uh. Also, dude's 28. How do we know he hasn't done this before?
right. We don't. We don't. We also don't know how old the victim is. That hasn't been
Right.
released. We just know that she's a minor.
Right.
Terrifying though. If he's catfished one young girl, he's
Right.
definitely catfished other young girls. I mean,
Yeah.
let's get real here.
Hmm.
He went to not just the trouble of catfishing her, but traveling across the United States
And
to
murdering her whole
locate her
family.
family. Yeah, and then take her. I
Hmm.
mean, he's done this before.
Right. That's my thought. There's gonna be a lot more come out as they dig into his history, I would imagine, into his
Uh,
electronic history.
yeah, I think so. And it is a reminder, as always, to be very careful with what our minor children are being exposed to and who they're being exposed to and who they're talking to online.
Hmm.
And just reminding them, I think, that, hey, just because somebody says this is who they are doesn't mean it is who they are.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
frankly, not just kids. This stands as a stark reminder to everyone
Yeah.
who's online dating, who's online chatting, that just
Right.
because, yeah, someone says this is who they are doesn't at all mean that it is
Right. Not at
at
all.
all. Yep.
No, because he got all of this personal information out of her, including her address.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and I don't blame her at all. She's a kid. How is she to know?
Right now.
And I'm not blaming anyone but him.
Hmm.
But it is a good reminder that we have to be so careful and so vigilant when it comes to this kind of thing, because you know there are psychopaths. I watched a study of psychopaths recently. It was a multi-episode documentary, and the psychologists and psychiatrists that they interviewed believe that about 1 in every 100 men is a psychopath.
My God.
One
Wow.
in 100. And I got to tell you, I don't find that unusual. I'm not even
No.
surprised. And when you hear stories like this, you're like, yup, there it is. Ugh,
Oh, I think
so
most
scary.
families can identify one person, you
Hmm.
know, maybe
For
not
sure.
immediate family, but can identify one person in their family that may fit the
Hmm.
bill.
Hmm.
Yeah. Which is not
Certainly.
to say that all psychopaths end up being murderers or terrible people. Some don't. Some manage to wrangle themselves and, don't commit terrible crimes.
No, they just
And
abuse
but
people in
some
other
do
ways.
and seem to have more of a propensity for it than others.
Yeah. But this guy made it through police academy, was hired by two different police agencies, and was this level of psychopath. And they didn't catch it. And that
Mhm.
is really scary to me. Really
That
scary
may
to me.
also mean that he was damn good at getting through psych evals and
It
interviews and
may.
stuff in a way that made him seem super normal.
I'm very curious about his history. I want to learn about his history. Just to
Mhm.
cases like this are so important for us to understand and be aware of and learn about because we got to know how how this guy slipped through the cracks.
Mhm.
And hopefully the police in Virginia will be looking at that heavily.
Well, yeah, because that
But we
helps.
all need to be looking at that. How did this guy slip through? Because they're supposed to be vetted, but
Yeah. Well, and I'm guessing he was, but
to some extent.
to some extent, yep.
Yeah.
Well, it also has to make you wonder, who did he know?
Hmm.
Who did he know that knew someone who knew someone that, we weren't super
Right.
concerned about who this person is because we know him.
Or know a family member or something,
Mhm.
which is true. I mean, we hear those stories all the time. One thing I found really interesting that they did when San Bernardino Sheriff's Department tracked him down is they were following him from the air. And this is
Mhm.
just not something that you hear about a lot, but when you do, it makes me go, there are so many more cases that could benefit from stuff like this. Why,
Yeah.
you know? But they were actually following him by air, so the police knew exactly where he was.
Mhm.
So he was tracked by aircraft until SWAT could get in place and get to him. There were
It is a
multiple,
miracle that girl lived through this.
right? Um, they followed him onto Highway 62, and that's where police were able to get in position and get ahead of him, and you know, ultimately end the chase. But
Yeah.
you just think about like not every kidnapped child benefits from the police being able to use an airplane to follow a
Mhm.
car.
Right.
But the best thing that happened in this whole case is that neighbor saw something and said something.
Yep.
This is,
Yep.
our see something, say something rule
Mhm.
has applied here. And it's what saved her life. I'm sure it is.
Absolutely. Yep.
Had they not had a description of him and a description of his car, they would have turned up at that house fire,
Yeah.
not having a clue where that young girl had gone
Yep.
or who she
But
was
now
with.
this poor kid's whole family is dead. My God.
God, it's horrifying. I cannot imagine being her.
Her life is destroyed.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Wow.
awful.
Well, I'm
But
sure we'll keep tracking this one.
we will
Hopefully they
definitely.
do release more info about him. I
I would
mean,
imagine the media will,
technically the case is
particularly.
closed now, but hopefully they
Well,
do.
but the media will go in on it because he was a police officer.
Yeah.
And it is when police officers do things like this, we have got to be paying attention.
Yep.
We have so much disaster going on in our police forces with people who have no problem murdering people,
Yeah.
whether it's on the job or off. And, we have to learn from this and do
Yeah.
better, most definitely.
For
So
sure.
we will keep an eye on this and keep you updated.
Mhm.
In the meantime, though, Katie, you have a DNA for the win for us.
Yes, I do. This is quite the story. This is Melissa Highsmith and her parents. Melissa was kidnapped when she was a baby,
Mm,
more than 50 years ago, when she was a toddler. and her parents have never quit looking for her. On August 23rd, 1971, someone who was claiming to be the babysitter showed up at their house and managed to kidnap her.
Mm,
And she has been vanished ever since. Uh,
mhm,
all these years, her parents have had absolutely no idea what happened to her, but they have continued to look and continued to talk and continued to seek her out. And just recently, a podcast called The Vanished ran a story about Melissa and her family, about the search for Melissa and wondering what in the world ever happened to Melissa. And I think, in some part, played a role here, though her parents aren't confirming that. But their parents had done a 23andMe test and had been, trying to get some sense of what happened to Melissa. They
mhm,
felt like she was alive. And so this is what they had done. So at some point in September, an anonymous tip came in claiming that Melissa was seen on Daniel Island.
mm,
And so her dad and brother went to Daniel Island and started putting out flyers. Well, now the Highsmiths are saying that they have been reunited with Melissa, that they found her. So the details are a little bit murky because they're claiming that it's 23andMe that helped them find her. However, they were putting out flyers on Daniel Island, and that is where she was. So,
mhm,
and there are many saying that it really is the podcast, the hit or the vanish, that really made the connection. So, it seems like there's a lot that we don't quite know yet.
mhm.
However, here she is.
Wow.
So she's now in her early 50s, and they have managed to locate her. There's quite a bit we don't know yet about who raised her, if it was the kidnapper,
Yeah.
if that person is still alive.
Mhm.
This is brand new, just broke yesterday. So there's a lot we don't know yet. But
Wow.
they are claiming that it was the DNA test from 23andMe that helped them to put together the pieces and find her. So we're
Wow.
going to call it a DNA for the win.
Sure.
And a
It's a
win
win no matter what, really. I mean,
nonetheless, right. So one more time, I just want to show you. There is the picture of Melissa when she was a baby with mom and dad,
yeah.
with the Highsmiths, and now here they are back together again.
Wow.
Pretty
That is
amazing
amazing.
story. Yep. Yep. But one thing we do know is that they never gave up hope. They have continued to look. They've continued to search.
Wow.
They have always believed that she was alive out there somewhere, and they were right.
And you were right. Wow. Well, that's amazing. I'm really happy that they were able to reunite with her.
Yeah.
You know, to think it's been that long ago. That's
Yeah.
unreal that they were able to reunite with her and find her.
For sure. So, hopefully, more details about this case emerge. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. I am very curious to know who
Yeah.
raised her and, exactly what the details are behind them finding her. And, yeah, it's just so new, but at any rate,
Mhm.
a pretty heartwarming case, I hope.
Yeah. Some good news, and at least that she's reunited with her parents. That's
Yeah.
very cool. All right. Well, this is our Monday episode. We'll be back, excuse me, with our usuals Tuesday and Wednesday, our live stream Wednesday night for case updates. And for those who subscribe either on Patreon or are a part of our membership here on YouTube, we will be back for the Psychic Hour on Thursday as well. So it's
We
going to
have
be a
one new
full week
Patriot
around here.
out as well, and another
Yes.
one pending today. So, we'll have
Yeah.
two new
So if you're a
videos out by
patron,
the end
then
of today.
yep, yep, you'll have both our episodes here very shortly.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.